Hi, welcome to the second coming of unbelief. I want to talk about mythology today. Why can't we just say the Bible is full of mythology? Um, yes, there are real historical figures. King Hezekiah was a real person, Sennacherib was a real person. There are real geographic locations. Jerusalem is a real place, Babylon is a real place. Um, but archaeology does not really show us hard evidence that the stories and events that are written in the Bible actually took place, happened as written. So why can't we just call it a myth? Well, I'm from the U.S. We have myths. George Washington was a real man, and he was really our first president, but most likely he did not chop down a cherry tree. Most likely he did not say, Father, I'm sorry, I cannot tell a lie. That's a myth. That doesn't detract from George Washington being a real person and our real first president. It's a story that we use to teach children don't tell lies. There was a real Ben Franklin. Did he really tie a key to the kite string and fly the kite in a thunderstorm? How could he calculate exactly where to put the key so he gets shot? So it probably did not happen, but he was a real person, and we can learn real lessons from his life. There was real Paul Revere, one of the founding fathers. But he didn't ride through the streets of Boston saying, the British are coming, the British are coming. Partly, because America at that time was part of the British Empire and everybody was British. So, what we could learn from his life. Did Patrick Henry really say, give me liberty or give me death? He may have, he may not have. But he was a real person, a real leader, and he was one of the leaders of the revolution. We could learn stories. Okay? Abraham Lincoln was a real man. Did he really walk 3 miles in the dark after the store closed to return 6 cents? Makes a good story. But it's a myth. We can use the myth to teach our children to be honest and take back, give back. Hey, 2 days later, next time you see the person, hey, I owe you 6 cents. Okay? We use the myths to teach our children. Why can't we just admit that most of the stories in the Bible are myths? There are no archaeological tombs of any of the Judite or Israelite kings that I know of. Please correct me if I'm wrong. David may have been a real person, but probably did not happen the way it was described in the Bible. Let me be crude. Warning, this is not for children. Solomon is said to have 300 wives and 700 concubines, 1,000 ladies in total. Do the math. That's one woman per night for almost 3 years. There's no way he had one woman each night for 3 years, night after night after night. Hey, the reality is every guy wants a night off sometime. And ladies are not going to wait in line in turn for 3 years to get their one turn every 3 years. It's a myth. There's no archaeological evidence for the Exodus. Okay? 1 million people taking that much gold, that much silver, that many jewels, and the 10 plagues that wiped out all the livestock and most, if not all, of the firstborn. That's a massive economic disaster. And even if the Egyptians didn't want to write down all the bad disasters that happened, there would have been historical documentation from other people that were literate and writing at that time period. And there are not. It is not in the Egyptian record, it is not in the record of other nations and other people groups. It didn't happen. What's wrong with myth? Nothing. If we recognize the Bible as myths, then all our morals go out the window. No, they don't. We don't stop having empathy just because a story never happened. Our morals grow and change. Our empathy grows, evolves over time. Polygamy didn't used to be a problem. Why not have 5 or 10 wives? But we've decided that that's not the ideal thing to do, and we don't do that anymore. It used to be a big deal for people to own other people. We've decided that that's not a good idea either. So we don't do that anymore. And when we find people that do, they get punished. Okay? Just because we have a book of treasured myths doesn't mean our morals can't grow and change over time. There's nothing wrong with myths. Myths aren't inspired. Oh, we need an inspired book to dictate our morals and our code of conduct. No, we don't. We need to have empathy. Myths do nothing to bolster beliefs. They're merely an illustration of what we already believe and understand. So it's okay for the Bible to be a myth. We get our empathy from walking in the other man's shoes. We don't get empathy from a list of do's and don'ts. It's a collection of myths. Some are more inspiring than others. Keep waiting for a pastor to preach his sermon on Judges 19 to 21. There's no redeeming value there. It doesn't belong in a holy book, nor does Jephthah's daughter. Our morals and our sense of empathy have evolved over time and grown. And we don't need a 3,000-year-old list of rules to help us be moral. We don't need that list anymore. So we can think of the Bible as a list of myths and still be very, very empathetic people. Thank you for watching. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Second Coming of Unbelief.